Welcome back to the Global Ledger. I'm Justin. Everywhere online right now, you're hearing the same story. China and Russia are settling nearly all of their trade in local currencies. BRICS nations are expanding payment systems. Tariffs are being threatened. Gold is being bought at record levels. And the conclusion being pushed is simple and terrifying. This is a currency war. They're saying the dollar is losing, and it's happening faster than anyone wants to admit. That framing sounds convincing. It also uses real numbers in some of the videos that I've seen. It also references real infrastructure, and it connects to real anxiety about inflation, debt, and global power. But here's the problem. That story confuses trade behavior with monetary structure. And today we're going to carefully, calmly take it apart, because this is not a currency war, and BRICS is not killing the dollar. Let's get into it. Let's start by summarizing the popular argument fairly. You've heard claims like Russia and China now settle 99% of trade without dollars. BRICS Pay and CIPS are replacing SWIFT. Tariffs are accelerating de-dollarization. Countries are abandoning dollar reserves. Things like this. Also, this is Bretton Woods in reverse. From there, the leap is made, and that is, if countries don't need dollars for trade, they won't hold dollars at all. That leap is intuitive, and it feels and sounds logical, but it's really wrong, because trade settlement is not the same thing as monetary dominance. Here's the key distinction that almost every viral video skips. Trade settlement does not equal funding. Funding does not equal reserves. Reserves do not equal collateral. And collateral does not equal backstops. Let me say that again in a different way. Settling a trade without dollars does not mean operating a financial system without dollars. Countries have been settling bilateral trade in local currencies for decades. This is not new. Think about it. It reduces FX costs. It reduces transaction friction. It avoids sanction exposure. But none of that replaces dollar-denominated debt, dollar collateral markets, dollar-based repo, dollar clearing, dollar crisis backstops. Those are the core of monetary dominance. The dollar does not dominate because people like America. It dominates because most global debt is issued in dollars. Most global collateral is priced in dollars. Most margin calls clear in dollars. Most stress events require dollar liquidity. The Fed is the only institution that can expand dollar balance sheets in a crisis. That is the system. If the dollar were actually being replaced, you wouldn't see persistent demand for treasuries during crises. You wouldn't see dollar shortages every time volatility spikes. You wouldn't see swap lines reopening whenever markets freeze. And you wouldn't see foreign banks scrambling for dollar funding. You'd see the opposite. And we don't. We really don't. I want to tackle the myths directly. Here's the first one. Quote, this is a currency war. Calling this a currency war is emotionally powerful and structurally inaccurate. Why? Because currency wars require fixed systems or convertibility promises. Bretton Woods collapsed because dollars were convertible into gold. Foreign holders could face redemption, and the U.S. ran out of backing. Okay, that's why Bretton Woods collapsed. Today's system has floating exchange rates. Today's system has no convertibility promise and no redemption mechanism to attack. You can't break a floating collateral-based system by settling trade differently. There is no single pressure point. There is no Bretton Woods to collapse. I think it's important to talk about or bring in CIPS, BRICS Pay, and payment system confusion. Another major myth. Okay, CIPS and BRICS Pay and replace SWIFT. Therefore, the dollar is obsolete. What this does is it misunderstands what payment systems do. SWIFT is messaging. CIPS is messaging, plus settlement rails. Neither replaces currency denomination, collateral preference, funding markets, or risk pricing. A payment rail does not determine what asset is demanded in a crisis. When stress hits, markets don't ask, "Can I send a message?" They ask, can I fund this position? Can I post collateral? Can I roll this debt? And the answer is still dollars. So some of these claims been talking about gold buying, okay, and that it's a signal or of some sort. I do believe it's a signal, but I don't think it's some kind of revelation or, anything like that. I think, yes, central banks are buying gold, and that's real and it matters. But I think here's what it signals. It signals diversification at the margins, sanctions risk management, long-term reserve hedging. Okay, think about that for a second. It does not signal abandonment of dollar systems or replacement of funding markets or collapse of dollar settlement. Gold is not a funding currency. It does not clear modern derivatives. It does not settle margin calls. It does not backstop liquidity crisis. Gold is insurance, not infrastructure. We need to bring in tariffs, the threats, and what they actually do. Okay? I don't like, when it comes to where the topic of what the global ledger covers, it does intersect with politics. And I will do my best to speak the facts about these situations, because politics can be messy. But when you explain the facts about the world, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. We're here to understand how the system works. Okay, so tariffs have been a very popular topic of discussion, and so here's what tariffs affect. They affect trade flows, supply chains, and prices. They do not directly affect reserve demand, collateral systems, and monetary plumbing. Threats may encourage countries to reduce exposure at the edges, but the core problem remains: you cannot replace a currency system without replacing debt issuance, collateral acceptance, and crisis liquidity. BRICS is not doing that. Here's the real story, and here's what's actually changing. The world is becoming more multipolar at the margins. Trade is diversifying. Payment routes are expanding. And political risk is being hedged. But the core financial system remains dollar-based. This is not collapse. It is adaptation. And adaptation does not look dramatic. It looks boring, uneven, and slow. So maybe that's why it's not so popular to talk about the monetary system in this way. But maybe to spark some drama in this, what would actually threaten the dollar? Here's what I think. If you want to know what to watch, okay, I would say ignore, not ignore, but maybe don't put your full faith in headlines. And watch these indicators. Okay, number one, large-scale non-dollar debt issuance replacing dollar debt. That's number one. Number two, non-dollar collateral being accepted in global repo. Okay. Number three, crisis events clearing without Fed intervention. And another one would probably be global margin systems operating without dollar liquidity. Until those change, the system holds, and we really don't have much to talk about when it comes to a replacement of the dollar or the BRICS or a currency war. The dollar doesn't disappear because countries stop liking it. It disappears when markets stop needing it. We are nowhere near that point. This is not a currency war. This is not Bretton Woods. This is not imminent collapse. It's a slow, uneven rebalancing with the core intact. That distinction really matters, okay? So I want to thank you for listening to episode 5 of our Mythbusting series. We try to put one of these out every 5 to 10 episodes along in our normal series. So today we talked about the currency war myth that's spreading and has been for a while, but in how BRICS is replacing it and tying and how people tie tariffs in trade into the dollar's demise, which isn't true. So once again, I'm Justin, and thank you for being here.